Good afternoon. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com. Welcome to today's recap. It is Monday, first day of the last week of 2015. We came in with a few question marks. How will we hold? Last week we had the Santa Claus rally. Big move from SPX 2000 almost to 2067. Little reversal last 15 minutes of the day, and then boom, down open. If you took a few shorts into the close on Thursday, hopefully you covered a little bit as that gap from Wednesday got filled. What gap am I talking about? Let's take a quick look at the chart of the spiders. You go here to the spiders and you'll see I posted this chart this morning and I talked about the small little red dog reversal you had here into resistance. That was also right into the descending channel. So first time here from big support made some sense to pause. The question was what kind of pause? So here you had a gap fill. Talked about this pivot, which was what? 204.58. Came back, filled the gap, reversed off of it, and now we'll see if that is the low of the week, which you can't say it is, because it might not be, but let's just make it a little bit bigger here so you can really see it. Chances are this would be deemed very constructive. Okay, we'll see if it plays out or not. You know, the Qs actually acted a little bit better because they didn't have all the oil names. You look at how the oil or the the Qs held up right there, right into support we talked about. So now we'll see if that can continue to hold before potentially making a move back towards, this descending channel here. So some room there. Decent move off of last week's lows, held in here for now. We'll see if that continues. On the weaker side, you had oil after the dash for trash, and the USO came in pretty much to where, you don't want to see it get too far below it. I guess we'll look at that tomorrow. All in all, last time we had a crazy short squeeze. It was fast and furious for 3 days. This time you had one. So I guess that's how much people are thirsting for a move in commodities. Everyone made such a big deal over that. But, making it a little bit more visible here, you will see that any momentum from this upside gap got filled. So again, just like all of 2015, commodities weaker. Filled the gap. I guess look at the low here. That's 1091. See if it does some kind of higher low tomorrow, et cetera, for a red dog reversal, but I'm not so sure. XLE, talked about what will it do. I was long this last week, sold it into this big move, and now it's right back here. I would think that has to hold. I didn't buy it back somewhere in here to be any good. I would have expected not to go much lower than this. If you're looking for get this inverted head and shoulders pattern with the left shoulder ahead, you want this right shoulder to build, and then at some point take this out for a more of an oversold move to this breaking point, which is still only 65, and you still have the 200 day all the way up here. So again, very, very tactical if you're that tactical kind of guy. Last week the problem was high beta tech was somewhat weak, out of play while they went for all the bean down names. Today they showed relative strength all day. This morning I talked about the Barron's cover story in Google with the 771 pivot, and I actually let it out a little early because I saw it on the move. Google is on my 2016 prediction list to make new highs relatively first, and it broke above this small little wedge that we talked about in the morning call today and closed on the highs. So we'll see if there's any follow through. Follow through takes it up to 791. The question is, does it make new highs before the new year or after the new year? All in all, very tight, expanding today, showing relative strength all day. So this is one of the better acting stocks, and it seems like they might want to mark it up. Day one, let's hope they give it a day 2 and 3, not just a one-day wonder. We've seen that many times this year. Amazon also talked about how tight it got. This was not, the focus of the article, but it was, record holiday sales once again. Very tight range, was out of play. Everyone that shorted it last week because it was out of play probably got squeezed, and now they most likely get squeezed if it were to take out this resistance where it failed many times. Day one could give you more. Doesn't mean that it has to, but day one, above the 821 day after a strong trend into the end of the year. If the market wants to be strong, we'll see if that continues to go. Last one that looks just as good is Facebook. Facebook's been very tight, and it's continues to be tight. It was early. They had some early strength before going red, and then it came back. It did, really didn't do much today, but crossed above Thursday's high, and still the major buy zone doesn't happen until 107. Okay, so if you did get long a little bit today, maybe you're anticipating a move above this 2-month trend for a January type move if the market's going to be strong. So this is one of them that could be in there. So as of right now, Google and Amazon, best in breed, Facebook still in the running, and Netflix, which has been weaker, did a decent reversal around that 1450 pivot. You look here, definitely not easy. Started off weak all day, and then reversed, right around this support level. So same way things can't get through resistance, they can't get followed through below support. So this little 1460 area turned into a better a buy than sell. Question is, does it break to the upside into the end of this year or not? Same way BABA couldn't get through, this resistance here up in the 85 area. I guess same way Netflix couldn't get below that. Well, anyway, this bottomed, and now we'll see if it holds in there. Still, if you look at it as a channel, I guess, and change the pattern up, where this is the low end of the channel to the highs, higher end of the channel, couldn't get through, another higher end. So we'll see if it acts better. I'm still in those options from January 22nd. We'll see. Apple, I don't think anybody really touched it. It's been relatively weaker. Didn't make new lows for the weeks, but still very, very, wishy-washy. Definitely a better sell than a long. And if it happens to break below this spot here, I guess, there will be a little bit of a tension there. So see how it handles this 105.50. Win, which I've been focusing on also, had a decent pullback. Still waiting to see what kind of news comes out of Macau on gaming. Still hanging around. We'll see at some point, will this ever be able to trade through this with some kind of authority, and that's right around 70. Still hanging in well. I have a call spread. I bought it here, sold the calls of the 75s there, free trade, and now hopefully we get some kind of active trade above this, but we shall see. Some of you were focusing on FIT. Definitely, a little disappointing that you had a big gap up after a big move from, the 50s to the 40s. You would have thought that, with news of it being the most downloaded app and holiday season is very strong, it can only gap up and do nothing. I guess I'm worried about valuations, not so sure, but we'll see how it handles this moving forward. So all in all, I would say oil, not the end of the world, but I don't think the bulls would have wanted it to pull back as much as it did. Tomorrow will be important there. Spiders, day and a half pullback, held the gap from last Wednesday. Not even held it, filled it, but held higher. So that's kind of constructive, and it's good to see that the stronger names led all day, and we'll see if that continues into a markup for year end and then maybe new money. So if you didn't come in fully long, which I didn't think a lot of people would be considering the type of move we had last week, and you were able to buy into the morning weakness, I think you had a good day. I went with gold, got stopped out. So we'll see what's next there. If you read my disclosures, just want to let you guys know that I did stop myself out. I said to get out at 102.20. Still fine, but I'm not a gold bug, and I thought perhaps there'd be better action here. Coming into this resistance, looked like you had a nice, green bar that if we were to pull in, maybe gold goes up, but gold didn't go up and went down. So now I'm just going to wait and probably avoid it. Guess it happens. And again, a few more days left. It's been 3 weeks since my surgery. I know a lot of people are excited about my 2016 report. I think it's an excellent value for less than $100. You get my 10, 11 stocks that I'm going to be focusing on, waiting for them to confirm, and you get my 10 rules that I try and follow and stick to, which has given me a 15-year career, as well as a little recap of what happened last year and some if-then statements on how I might execute if things come into play for this year. So for $100 or maybe less, I don't know, there's some kind of value out there. I think you buy it, and not only will you learn evergreen chart patterns and technical analysis, you might get 10, 11 stocks to focus on that could be, I think, decent-sized gains for next year once the market confirms them or depends on how you play it. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.